Good evening. We're ready to start. This is the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees regular board meeting. It's Tuesday, February 14th, 2017, and it is 6:37 p.m. Agenda item number 1, I call this meeting to order. We do have an established quorum. Agenda item number 2 is roll call. Mr. Medrano?
Here.
Mr. Vargas?
Here.
Mr. Mendez?
Here.
Mr. Padilla?
Here.
Mr. Leal?
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Dr. Vega?
Here.
And Mr. Torres. Agenda item number 3 and agenda item number 4 are the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flag and our invocation. And at this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Vargas.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 2 students joining us today from Dr. Raul Garza Junior Elementary. The first student is Luis Esteban Miramontes. If you would stand, please. Mr. Miramontes is a second grade GT student at Dr. Garza Elementary. He is the son of Roberto and Amparito Miramontes. Luis is an outstanding student at Dr. Garza, always striving to do his best and being the best role model for his peers. Luis's favorite subject in school is math, and his favorite pastime is drawing. Luis is an advanced chess player, earning numerous awards since pre-kindergarten. Among the many awards, Luis was 20th in the nation in the K-1 division. In 2015, earning him Yeah, we're not done yet, Luis. I'm catching my breath. Earning him a letter of recognition from the White House for his accomplishment. He was second. He was second in the regional competition in 2016 and second in the state in that same year. Luis has played on a team that has earned their spot 4 years in a row at the national competition. Luis's goal in life is to become an artist because he wants his paintings to inspire individuals to make a difference in the world. Luis wishes to thank his dad for helping him learn the game of chess, and thanks to his mom for her support with his homework. Dr. Garza Elementary is very proud of Luis and look forward to his future successes. Next we have Ms. Jenna Olivia Chamberlain. Ms. Chamberlain is a 5th grade student at Dr. Raul Garza Junior Elementary. She is the daughter of Carlos and Dolores Saldaña. Jenna is an exemplary student and great role model for her peers. She has maintained an A average for the past 3 years, passed all her STAR tests since the 3rd grade, and is in the school dance team, and is a presenter for the science days at Dr. Garza. Her favorite subject in school is math, and her favorite hobby is playing outside. Jenna's goal is to become a doctor because she likes helping people. She would like to attend the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio. Jenna would like to thank her parents for all their support during her elementary years. Jenna's dedication and hard work will no doubt lead to a most promising future. Dr. Raul Garza, again, is very proud of Jenna. So if you would stand for the pledge. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Let us bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for another day of life and for the love you continue to show us. We come tonight to ask for your blessings for our students, parents, teachers, superintendent, school board members, and everyone present tonight. We ask that you enlighten our leaders with the wisdom to make decisions that you will have a positive impact on all students and staff in this district. Give our leaders the foresight and knowledge to be a friend, an instructor, and an advocate for all children. Allow us to continue to work cooperatively for the success of this district. Grant us the strength and guidance as we continue this second semester, as we know it will be stressful with the testing for both teachers and students. However, we know that with your love and protection, all things are possible. We offer you all the honor and respect you deserve. In your name we pray, amen.
Now, if we can have the parents of both Luis and Jenna stand up for recognition. And we'd also like to thank Ms. Elsa Lambert, who is principal at Dr. Raul Garza Elementary. Jenna, Luis, if you can step up for your certificates.
Agenda item number 5 is special recognition, and at this time, I will turn it over to Mrs. Longoria.
Tonight is a very special night for some of our artists in the district. We have had the Halls of Art project that we started in 2014. The communications department staff, with the help of the campuses in our district, and we've had a lot of success with this. It's really neat to see the creativity and the teamwork taking place with the students and the staff members and the campuses. We thank everyone that participated in this, and tonight it gives us great pride to introduce these students that are artists. And in a little bit, when we do a reception, you'll get to see their masterpieces that are out there. They used various forms to create their artwork, various methods, and I think you'll be very impressed while we recognize these students. And again, you know, this is, of course, in addition to all the talent that we have in our district, whether it be academic talents, whether it be sporting talents, musical talents. We have a lot of students that are musically inclined. And now, of course, we have our fine arts students, and they're doing an outstanding job. And as you can see, there are various ages, and I cannot wait for y'all to see their artwork and their creativity. A lot of real good pieces out there, and you will be very impressed. So these are the students that have been selected as the Hall of Art Project Award recipients. We do have some beautiful awards. If board members would like to help, Ms. Cruz, if you and some board members can assign some board members to assist in the presentation. So we will begin the presentation with our students. A lot of our students could not make it tonight. Obviously, you know, it is Valentine's Day, and of course, you know, it's a Tuesday. We have sporting events going on. We have extracurriculars going on, activities for the secondary students. So in some cases, the students might not be here, but we always welcome them to come into our building with their parents to come and view the projects. They're gonna be here for the next couple of months. And again, the public is also welcome to come and take a look at the projects. So the first artist on the list is Dylan Cerda, a 5th grader at Dr. Cash Elementary. The principal at that campus is Delia Cornett. And his titled artwork is The Sunset at Resaca. He used acrylic paints to create the work. His teacher is Mackie House, and you can see his work on the screen. So Dylan Cerda, please step forward to accept your award. We had a total of 29 students that participated. The next artist is a 5th grader at Dr. Raul Garza Jr. Elementary, Yasmin Rodriguez. The principal is Elsa Lambert, and she titled her project The Jolly Elephant. She used Crayola on paper, and her teacher is Christian Rodriguez. Great work. And a lot of these students are also in the choirs at their respective campuses, so very talented, right? Calista Hernandez is our next artist. She's a kindergarten student at Ed Downs Elementary, and you see her portrait there being displayed. She titled it Corner of Combs and Stenger. She used acrylic paint, and her teacher is Leslie Whitmore, and the principal is Nidia Espinosa. Isn't that beautiful? We also have two other participants from Ed Downs Elementary. We have third grader Trey Moore, and his artwork is titled First Church of the Nazarene, and he used acrylic paints. Angel Parra is a second grader, and he titled his piece History of San Benito. He used pencil, marker, and paint. Isn't that beautiful? Next, we have Ramiro Treviño Jr. is a fifth grader, Frank Roberts Elementary. The principal of the campus is Linda Molina. He titled his artwork, The Inspiration of Space. And as you can see, it's really, really cool. So the method that he used, he did freehand drawing using pointillism with tempera paint. And his teacher is Brittany Garcia. The next artist is Jocelyn Matamoros, fifth grader at Fred Booth Elementary. The principal is Carmen Ramos. The Yellow Rose City is what she titled her masterpiece, using colored pencils, and her teacher is Natalia Montes. And there you see her beautiful artwork up on the screen. The next artist is Estela Lopez, fifth grader at Judge Oscar de la Fuente Elementary. Principal is Ron Diaz. The title of this piece is The Rose, and she used pencil markers, colored pencil, and her teacher is Elizabeth Govea. Adela Banda is a fifth grader at La Encantada Elementary. The principal is Gracie Martinez. Mystical Creatures is what she titled her work. It's really, really cool and interesting. She used crayons, markers, pen, colored pencils, and her teacher is Luis Cantu. Our next artist, Angel Contreras, a second grader at La Paloma Elementary, where the principal is Levi Flores, and the title is La Paloma Elementary. This student used colored pencils. The teacher at that campus is Mary Moreno. Our next artist that we'd like to recognize is Lauren Cantu, a fifth grader at Landrum Elementary. Principal is Eva Basilian. The title of her project is Mustang Majesty, and she used watercolors, and her teacher is Alfonso Gonzalez. The next artist is Hannah Rodriguez, a fifth grader at Rangerville Elementary, where Principal Diana Atkinson leads the school. The title of her project is Little Cottage in the Woods, and she used crayons, marker, and glitter, and her fine arts teacher is Deborah Kelly. Another artist that we'd like to call on, Evangelina Hernandez, a third grader at Sullivan Elementary. Principal is Stephanie Ramirez. The title of this artwork is Love. They used pencil and Prismacolor, and the teacher is Jamie Rodriguez Luna. So these are all our elementary students that took part in this project. Congratulations to all our elementary students for doing their part and creating beautiful artwork for everyone to enjoy. Y'all did an outstanding job. You'll get to see it in a little bit. Congratulations. So if we have the parents in the audience of these elementary students, if you all would please stand and be recognized at this time. Also, if we have the fine arts teachers in the audience, please stand and be recognized at this time. And of course, we also have our campus principals, also if they can stand and be recognized at this time. Thank you for supporting and encouraging your students to do this kind of work. Thank you, students. So we move on to the secondary campuses, beginning with Berta Cavazza Middle School. Congratulations, students. Thank you. So we have 3 students from Berta Cavazza Middle School that submitted their artwork. We have Ricardo Sanchez, 7th grader at Berta Cavazza Middle School. The principal is Lupita Moncevalles. Title of his artwork is Sunset. And for those of you that love to hunt and the outdoors, look at that. It's beautiful. Method used, acrylic on paper. The teacher is Sandra Olivares. The next artist from Berta Cavazza Middle School is Isabella Jalomo, 7th grader. The title of her project is Imagination, and that one is really, really cool also. A lot of detail, a lot of work, a really, really interesting piece. She used drawing colored pencils and chalk, and her teacher is Sandra Olivares. Another artist from Berta Cavazza Middle School, Jesus Reta, an 8th grader. Rudolph is Here is the title of his project, and he used crayons, glue, glitter. His teachers are Gina Jones, Clarissa Ladner, and these are teachers at the Joe Calandra Positive Redirection Center. That's where this piece was created back in December. But he is a student at Berta Cavazza Middle School. We had Miller Jordan Middle School participating. Principal at that campus is Mr. Fred Perez, and the artist is Miea Aguilar, an 8th grader. Santa Delivery is how she titled her artwork, and she used glitter, colored pencils, markers, and her teachers are Gina Jones and Clarissa Ladner from the Joe Calandra Positive Redirection Center. And I also want to acknowledge the principal from the Joe Calandra Positive Redirection Center, Mr. Ray Saldaña. From Riverside Middle School, we also had participation from several students. The artist, first artist on the list is Alexandra Vasquez, a 6th grader. The principal at Riverside Middle School is Amy Rodriguez, and the title of the painting is Paradise. And this student used colored pencils, and her teacher is Diana Zamarripa Villarreal. That's a really cool painting also, a lot of detail. Leonardo Coronado, I think you're gonna love this other artwork. This is really, really cool. Artistic Graduate is how he titled his artwork using mixed media. Diana Maripa Villarreal is his teacher. And we already had people that wanna buy some of these paintings. So we'll see if the students wanna part with them. Artist Anel Martinez, a 7th grader, and the title of Anel's project is Wilderness, and you're gonna love this one as well. Look at that. You get to see all these artwork pieces in a minute, and you're gonna get to see all the detail and the amount of work that they put into it. It's really amazing. The method that she used is Prismacolor, and the teacher, Diana Zamarripa Villarreal. So congratulations to Riverside Middle School. From San Benito Veterans Memorial Academy, we had artist Megan De La Rosa, a freshman, there at that campus, Native American Symbolism. And this is another interesting art. It's really, really detailed. You get to, if you see it in person, you really get to appreciate the colors and the patterns that the artist used in creating this. So in a little bit, you'll get to see it, and I think you'll be really intrigued by all the detail in that art. The method used is colored pencil and marker, and her teacher is Edith Medrano Lopez, and the principal at VMA is Gilbert Galvan. So if we have any middle school parents and VMA parents, if y'all can stand and be recognized at this time. And we have principals and teachers from the middle school and VMA campus. Please stand and be recognized at this time. So thank you so much. We move on to the high school, and we have several entries from the high school. We start off with artist Rihanna Garcia, a sophomore. Principal at San Benito High School is Henry Sanchez. And you see the artwork that this student created. It's untitled, using mixed media. The teacher is Orlando Ambris. The next artist, Crystal de la Garza, 12th grader at San Benito High School. Title of the work is Untitled, Acrylic on Paper. Orlando Ambris is the teacher. Leticia Gutierrez is a 10th grader, Towards the Sun, and the method used is relief paint. This is also really neat. When you see it, you're going to be amazed. It's beautiful. Orlando Ambris is a teacher. The next artist, Saraí Cardosa, a senior, and this artist used white pencil on black paper. So that's really, really cool too. Artist Delisa Garcia is a sophomore at San Benito High School, and she titled her project Chairs. Mixed media is what she used. And Orlando Ambris is the teacher. Also, the artist Samantha Rodriguez, a sophomore, with an untitled name on her project, pencil and colored paper. And that looks really amazing too, with it has like a real beautiful blue eye. Looks really neat. Our next artist is David Castillo, an 11th grader from San Benito High School. Mixed media is what David Castillo used on his project. And then our last artist that we'd like to recognize is Ruben Valenzuela, an 11th grader. And this is Lighthouse at Sunset. And this artist used tempera paint. So if we have principal from San Benito High School or any administrators from San Benito High School in the audience, and also their art teacher from San Benito High School, please stand and be recognized at this time. And also the parents of the high school students, parents. I know sometimes high school students drive themselves, but parents. That concludes the special recognition. And thank you all so much for always supporting the fine arts. And also a big thanks to the schools for encouraging that the students do this kind of work and express their artistic talents. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Longoria. Agenda item number 6, we're going to take a 15-minute break for a reception and for everyone to view the students' artwork. We're going to call this meeting back to order. Agenda item number 7 is the superintendent's report, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Vega.
Thank you, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Legal Counsel. So once again, since the school year has started, you know that I'd like to provide the board with an update on the progress of the strategic plan or a specific element when I give you my update. And so this month, we're going to be hearing from Ms. Rendon. She's the team leader when it comes to the finance component of the strategic plan. And so she's going to be sharing with you the progress that we've made in the area of the 5 goals and the 5 priorities for the finance component of the strategic plan.
Thank you, Dr. Vega. Good evening, Madam President, board members, community visitors. Tonight, I'm going to give you a recap of the Reimagine 2021 strategic plan in the finance area. I think you'll have a copy of it. In the finance year 1, priority 1, we were saying we were part of the goal, the priority was that San Benito would work to provide a full-day pre-K program with highly qualified staff to increase student academic achievement. Okay, and the year one goal was to establish a framework and evaluate the financial resources to implement the full-day pre-K program. As you know, we have had a successful year, and we have gone beyond our first year and have met it. We do have currently a pre-K program, which is a full day in collaboration with the Head Start and Niños. And in those schools where Niños is not in there, we are taking up and we're still providing a full day. Just as a status, because we have achieved already the framework, is I wanted to bring you in the financial. We did receive a pre-K grant in year one of $165,256. And in year two, which was one came in the summer, one came in the fall, so it was just back to back. Combined, we've received $332,560. Of these amounts, they'll be used for supplies and furniture. I say this because there was a question that was brought up: what if the funding goes away? Are we gonna do away with pre-K? We are not using any of this funding to pay for any of the salaries. Okay, so we would be using just the supplies. That's what, if the grant would go away, we would sustain the program by the supplies, which would be about $100,000, so it's a doable. So I just wanted to reassure that this grant is not paying for the actual salaries. The salaries are being paid through state comp and through other state programs, so it is sustainable. And
Grant, when you all went out for the grant, you specified it was for supplies and.
the grant was given to us, sir. It
Okay.
was, and it's broad. It
And
can
they
be
told you
used.
whatever?
Yes, it could be used for specifically. It
Just didn't sound
wasn't
right.
dictated to us.
Okay.
Yes, and they decided because we needed startup costs and furniture, so there is still some money left over that they want to equalize the playing field, but we didn't put it in the payroll.
Just put on the price on the furniture, okay?
It was small little tables. Our next step is that,
No, I'm fine.
our next step is we're gonna continue to monitor, because as you know, we have people, we have students coming in and out, and we're just trying to balance it to where we keep the numbers within range, and Mr. Trevino has been doing that to balance it, and along with the pre-K coordinator, to constantly look at the numbers of the students that are coming in or not. So, that's our next steps. Going into the year two, priority two, our goal was to develop operational expectations and to modify our current procedure manuals. This is where we streamline our operations and our systems. Just to give you a little bit, I know it's kind of small, but I need to fit it into this little PowerPoint. Some of the training opportunities that have been conducted in the area of operations. On September the 12th, we trained on employee access to the clerical and secretaries via live flow chart. We emailed it in English and in Spanish. On November the 1st, we reviewed with the principals the consultant contract procedures. We also provide a flow chart in order to streamline the process. On 11/3, we had a Texas refresher training, AM finance and the PM payroll. It was open to all, and that's part of our PD adult learning. And that was just to kind of come back and do some retraining on the Texas systems, so that if there was any questions, once they had operated, we could clarify them and make them stronger. On November the 15th, we had financial coding training for training for schools, AM and PM session. We had two, and this was also to train our staff on the Texas coding, and that was to try to give them clarification of how things should be coded correctly, what is supplemental, what's supplant, and the areas to strengthen off so that we can properly code our expenditures. On January the 25th, we had activity fund training that was provided to the district staff that included individuals that are responsible for activity. These PDs were open to all that we have. Yes, sir.
Just two questions. Who or which entity mostly provides these trainings? And secondly, are there completion surveys for the staff? That way we can continuously grow in any of these areas.
They were provided by yours truly, myself. I provided, along with the internal auditor, we did the activity accounts, and we're bringing them in here. The refresher, I did the coding myself. I did most of them in there. The principals training, it was during a finance meeting of principals, and that one was just to kind of streamline the consultant contract, when we can enter into a contract and when we can't, and the various steps. What was happening is that they were going to multiple people, and we needed to establish a flow chart so that it didn't get hung up somewhere. That HR is clearing the background check, that Dr. Vega seeing it, and at the end myself, so that we could enter in a contract. As far as that's a good idea to have an evaluation at the end. It is being done through, we're trying to streamline it into the Eduforia so that they can get credit. So I think maybe there could be a process where we could do an evaluation. I know that when I sign into the different programs, I get an email saying you've been gotten credit, so I think that's a good idea that we can start.
Yeah, and
To
my
see the
question
need.
was, much on the same line. Why are we sending principals to review consulting contract procedures? I mean, I thought that would,
Yeah, so I don't want to overstate just this page here, but you heard Ms. Rendon refer to adult learning. Y'all might have heard us say that or use that terminology. Well, this is a concrete example of training that's going on. And so specifically to answer your question, going back to the Instructional Leadership Academies, we have the ILAs, and so you already know that we do that twice a month with principals, assistant principal deans. But once a month, we're doing a business training, if you will, that has to do with things where we need to give principals updates. And so in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're face-to-face with them. Specifically, as far as a consultant contract, if you go back, a lot of this also is tied directly to our efficiency audit. And we're going to be bringing back, probably within the next month or two, an update on the progress that we've made on the efficiency audit. A lot of these things here, we didn't have in place. We didn't have clear processes by way of hiring.
I'm not questioning that, I'm just questioning why the principals would get involved with consulting contracts.
Oh, well, the reason being, right, the reason being is.
I'm not questioning.
No,
your
but the
strategic
reason
plan.
being is because historically, principals might say, I want to hire this person to help facilitate this program or this tutoring or do this PD. And historically, though, when that was done, there was a little bit of mix-up as to what constitutes an actual consultant versus a contract. And so we needed to clarify that, also clarify that by the way of the flow pattern, the flow chart, where does it go? And so when you think about going back to the efficiency audit, everything is now being very clearly laid out in terms of, okay, if I'm going to do A, B, or C, I go this route. If I'm going to do D, E, or F, I go this route. So they needed to be updated and trained, just like on the budget. Our principals didn't have a great depth of knowledge with the budget, especially with the new Texas system that we've gone over, and so that's why we're providing that training with them or for them.
Okay, but you're the one that signs off on them, the contracts, right, the consulting contracts?
Yes.
I am the one that
Okay,
signs off.
and-
Yes, sir.
And for the length I'm in. I'm just trying to figure out, balance out what, to what extent they get involved besides requesting. Because it all falls on you.
You're absolutely correct. The extent is so that they'll know what to request or how to request or what's appropriate or what's inappropriate. So it's more about clarity. But yes, ultimately, I have the final, my signature's on it. You're absolutely
And you
correct.
can say yes or no to it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It goes through different levels, but ultimately goes through, yeah. The procedure manuals that have been completed, and it goes back to Dr. Vega, where he says in the efficiency audit, we were lacking a lot of procedure manuals. We're working with that. There's certain things that we hang up because we need to get some policy changes, and once that is determined, we want to implement the new instead of going back and changing it. The Edgar Federal Compliance Manual, that is a federal a manual that we had to devise, and we've had a 2-year stand from implementing, but this is the year that it goes into effect. And those are the new guidelines from the federal that tell you exactly how we're from purchasing to all our requirements and what each person's, what they're signing off with. That is complete. The activity procedures manual has been complete. Our new PEMS coordinator that was one of the findings on our efficiency audit, that we did not have it, and it was crucial because that is where our funding comes in. That has also been complete, and she has also provided training to the individuals, along with some of the principals, as far as how to strengthen it and how to put those processes together. The budget manual is another one that is at 90% completion, pending. We need to review some dates along with the board administration as far as when we're going to have our workshops, when we're going to start, and so forth. So that is complete, pending the dates that it will be reviewed with you. The business office procedure manual, it's also in production. I'm waiting for the policy changes in order to implement or go forward. And there is a maintenance procedures manual that Mr. Garcia has also been working on. And that's also just to give clarity of processes in his department.
One question on, and I understand the perspective of some of these instruction and getting principals to understand how to ask for a consultant, things. I understand what you're doing. But on some of these procedures, such as the business office and maintenance, which are a little more general in size, and let's get more specific, the maintenance one, is this going to detail the annual review and capital improvement plans and things of that nature that will then be brought back for assisting you in preparing long-term budgets?
We can put that in there also, sir. This is from, the maintenance one is like starting from,
Okay.
from scratch. We're just kind of building as far as procedures of when there's a work order, again, detailing.
Okay, so
what you put in
we
there.
don't have even the method of a work order system, accountability, timeline, you don't have, oh,
It's been,
Okay.
that's the way it's been done.
okay.
And
Well,
what- yeah.
then definitely understand where you're headed.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that once you get the hard work done about how you're going to create your work orders, manage them, control them, and moreover, measure them, because that's really what you're trying to do, is determine how much time you're spending and whether they're done timely. I will say then probably the next step would be, is to start looking at your capital improvement plan and be that part of your maintenance plan. But obviously, yes, you've got a
Yeah.
a
Yes.
long road to get there
Yeah.
to that stage.
Next month will be the facilities, and I'm also working with them on that aspect also to do
Just
the
don't
long
go-
range.
Just don't go crazy on consultants to help you, okay?
No consultants, sir. But we will, that is gonna be part of
That
it.
should be able to be managed in-house, honestly.
We need to put down
Yes.
there the,
In reference to that, one of the other things that you'll hear, and it's one of the priorities for the facilities, is the long-range facility plan. And so that's going to be something, the recommendation I'm going to be bringing back to you.
okay. We also have processes that we have streamlined, just to give you an update. We processed 6,785 boxes of records to comply with the state records retention law. We're in the last phase of it, and we're just standing to get approval to have them, to give us clearance to destroy them. But they have been processed. That was a lot of boxes. But thank you all for going to that initiative, because it will neatly stacked shelves, and we'll bring you back some pictures of how
Are we
we have.
hiring a service to shred, or are we gonna,
We're looking into your suggestion, sir? with-
yeah, because you
yes.
can get it done for free?
Yes, yes, we're looking into that.
Ms.
I'm
Van
just
Duyn.
waiting, and really, we're waiting for that is also a policy to be able to name, because the record retention officer was back years ago. So that's where we have a little hang-up, that once we change that, then they'll give us clearance, sir.
Ms.
Yes, sir.
Van Duyn, for the streamlining of records, the processes and whatnot, are they only, is this only for district-wide / historical, or are we looking at PEMS records, retention records at the high school, at the campuses, to make sure that
Yeah.
we're
We,
streamlined?
when we did ours first, which was at the at the district level. And we also, that didn't take up all of the boxes that we had, that we had allotted for. So therefore, we went into the campuses to work for the students. I understand there's a lot of student records that also needs to be combined and housed into one. So we did go into the campuses and ask the principals if they had some records that we could work on to kind of bring them all in together. How they will do is they will give the records management a list of all the records that we do have, and we'll have that in record once we get it. Really, right now, the ones that need to be destroyed are taking up like all the space, so we really need to get to that so that we can discard that. Then we can clean up the area and properly light them up, and hopefully our goal, and this, I'm working with the PEAMS coordinator to come and bring those 1920 student records that are at different campuses into one location.
Yeah, it's good, because I think my next question was on space, and I've been hearing from principals that the space is
Yes.
lacking in a lot,
Yes.
so I think that's good.
And
Thank
that's
you.
one of the reasons there's a lot of boxes that need to, but right now we gotta kind of move that so we could realign things. But we have shelves, and we'll bring you some pictures on that in the facility of the things that Mr. Garcia has been working on. We also conducted a district-wide inventory and fixed asset. The last one was over 10 years, might have been 15. So they went out on campuses and they were tagging. They have sent me the disc, which we will be uploading into our system so that we can start keeping track of an actual, that they actually touched it, and it's not something that they think we have it. And the follow one is we reviewed and we corrected a majority, and I'm going out there is about 70% of the items that were listed in the efficiency audit. There were just a little bit too many to list here, but we will providing, like Dr. Vega said, a report as far as the items are. Definitely, we've gone in there with the procedures. We started off with the ones that were law and state law, and we worked into best practices. We have a few best practices that might take a little bit of time, but we have been reviewing that efficiency audit so that we could clear those. Now, our next test is we're going to continue training. I would like to bring in some more training from purchasing to everyday events. And I haven't gotten the formal observation, but the individuals that I have been present, they have been, and I think Dr. Vega has also commented, they welcome it. It's been very, they welcome it. Their comments are like, we've never had this. You know, I joke with them and say, y'all are back again. They welcome it. They interact. It's an interaction. They ask those questions, probably the ones that have always been in the back of their mind. It's a comfortable, and I think the internal auditor is here to say too, it's a comfortable atmosphere where we're here. There's no dumb question. It's here, and it's been very interactive, so I've enjoyed it. I think they have too, but I will put that in there so we can have something formally. Our priority 3 is, this is the practice of the blending budgeting process. Our year 1 was that we were going to evaluate the budgetary system as a whole and justify appropriations. Currently, we have developed the procedure and budget manual that I talked about that will be utilized this year, the 17-18 school year. There's timelines in there, as I spoke to, that need to be reviewed with administration and board members just so that we can know what it's going to look like these coming months. Our next step is to finalize the timelines of the budget manual. We will meet with the principals, directors, administrators to align the budget to the district goals, the campus improvement plan, and the district improvement plan. As they're developing their needs assessment, we also need to know to do that so that we can incorporate our budget. Our priority 4, our goal was to evaluate all the programs and systems for the effectiveness of curriculum-based programs. On this one, we are working in conjunction with the Curriculum and Instruction Department. As they presented last month, they're determining how many programs we have. They identified over 124 software programs, even though that all those programs are not curricularly based. They could be other things. So they're trying to untangle, and as they mentioned last month, they're identifying them. I'm waiting to where, kind of waiting for them to determine those so that I can come back and put the cost and the usage and work with my technology person to extract some reports as of the usage. Some of these programs, as she indicated, might already be obsolete, and they're just there because they've been identified, but they just need to be removed from where they're being housed.
So all those software programs, and none of them for curriculum, did I understand that correct?
Not all of them are, they're just software programs. So they're trying to find which are, they could be an attendance program, they could be different kind of softwares. So they're going through them as far as what is curriculum and what are others. But I think I have my manual there. It's a 3-inch. I think they presented it. It's 3 inches and it's pulling out one at a time.
I thought
But-
a
but-
few months ago, we discussed this about the programs that were outdated and all that, so you, I thought you had already identified them.
They've been identified, but it's a lot going through, and so we're still
No, I
going
mean,
through
I don't
them.
know, you're the one
Yeah,
that-
yeah, no, they've been identified. We're still sifting through it, and so that's the point. And so, you know, once again, this is a year one priority, and we're still in the year one, so it's taken us a lot. I don't know, do you have the binder over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're getting other programs, right? Other software programs updated, right? For,
Well, that's what we're still going through to determine the utilization. We're trying to streamline to say, okay, if we're using these programs for Tier 2 intervention, which ones are the common ones, if you will, the most effective ones, as opposed to having every campus having, you know, their own. And so that's the
because
process that we're still
We didn't
evaluating.
approve monies for this other software, right? In the past, we approved them already?
It depends on which software programs you're alluding to.
For curriculum and stuff like that. Yeah, I think you told us at one time, there was some stuff, yeah, it was just there.
Some
And
of-
we bought some more software.
Well, some of
But
the
I don't know if it's just for
curriculum,
curriculum,
some of the curriculum programs, back some time ago, you would buy the program and you would install it into your software, and we had it here. A lot of those curriculum programs, they're no longer housed in our district. They're web-based. So that means that the older version is already obsolete.
So
they
that's
need
not one
to-
of the 124 that we're talking about?
No, these are, I mean, we've gone into curriculum programs and items that we need, but these are kind of accelerated reader, and that one has gone on because it's been effective, but pilot math.
I think I asked this question at the curriculum committee meeting, was that part of this information is what Ms. Kathy Abrego did for us, right? Was identify
Yes.
the programs. That's the report. So essentially, we've been briefed on it before.
Yes, they're just going forward. It's just 120, it's quite a bit because some of the districts
I
are using
understand that, I
it
just
now.
wanted to know muscle minutes, how long it's gonna take to, now that you identified it.
It should be done by before the first year's goal, sir, because we're, right, Gina? Yes, ma'am.
Dealing with CNI software programs, so we need to make sure that we look very closely at the usage reports and also whether they're really making an academic impact in, with our students. I think that should be one of the focus.
And I think that's what they're doing on, and along with, we're sharing our technology, Ms. Peña, because she's providing reports to them. And where I need is, when I get a list of them, then I need to go into my financial and find out how much did we pay for it and put the usage. So I'm kind of waiting to get the list of the ones that we are gonna continue and go forward, and then we can do the usage and we can get the per pupil usage charges, but until they're identified, I'm kind of waiting and.
Yeah, because I know a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we requested a report like that, and we did get one. And I don't know how many programs there were on there, but there were a lot of programs. And we did. More and more. Yeah, and we did ask for usage reports, and we did ask for, if they could give us documentation that these programs were making a academic difference, with our students. But I don't know, was ever followed up, or?
I think if I can add to this, part of the problem, it goes back to the statement earlier about consulting and things of that nature. Keep in mind that there wasn't a central method of managing this. Previous to 2 years ago, a lot of this was done at the campus level.
Exactly.
A lot of this was done by different departments on their own.
Exactly.
There really wasn't a managing or controlling system that said, okay, for the district as a whole, we need this. You had times where one campus would, on its own, contract or pull or get a consultant to do something, while another campus may be doing a completely opposite thing. So part of what we're trying to do, and I think this has been initiated since last year, was to be able to, one, analyze what you have, determine, once you've analyzed, and if it's 124, and who knows if by the time you're done, you may be at 145 or 150. The idea being is I can see why it's taken time, because a lot of this was unknown at the central office perspective. It was all campus known. So now that you're trying to grasp it as a whole, you really need to determine what do we have, who's using it, and in the end, what software is really truly needed. And I think that is gonna take you quite some time, but in the end, and I think, and I'm sorry, Joe, just to say, I don't think there has been anything added that hasn't been analyzed from a district perspective. I think this is all, again, a mess of stuff that was out there for quite some time, and Anna's correct, we're president. We asked 2 years ago for this, and I think that's when the process, I know Mr. Mendez had been asking over and over, is really get us a list of what's out there, because at one point, I don't think the district even knew what it had.
And there is some that have gone, because we can't just stop it, but Dr. Vega has put a stop of programs that are not being implemented.
Because that might be part of the problem, que cada campus is doing their own thing. And I think this is where you should start when you go visit, especially the underperforming campuses.
I think,
this is the first question you should ask.
I think just
what
a
are you using?
recommendation is, oh, go
You know,
ahead.
what are you using and all that, and then go from there. If it's not working, pues, hey,
And I think just to close this, I think if you all develop a rubric that on what areas you are honing into, for example, the utilization, the impact, students' outcomes, and the cost of it, and provide us with a report on all of that, whether it's quarterly or at the end of the year, we can actually gauge what's actually is going through the system, and actually identifying what's effective and what's not. So, I think what I'm hearing, and again, going back to the past 2 years, asking for the reports, I think what we want to see is something tangible, a rubric indicating this is where we were, this is where we are, and this is where we're headed. It's a very simple, straightforward answer to that. So, just
I
stop.
think we did get a report, and it did have the usage, and it didn't have the impact. As far as, it was never followed through. And likewise with consultants. Campuses were hiring certain consultants for 3 years, 5 years, but yet math scores didn't go up, science scores didn't go up, but yet these consultants were still coming back every year. So that's something that, we need to be very mindful of,
And one of the process, going back to with the contracts, is that it's very important that each of us is looking for a piece. It might be the financial. Dr. Vega's the only one that can enter in behalf of the school district those kind of contracts. Ms. Torres is looking to make sure that they pass their background check. Ms. Trevino, if it's a curriculum, she's checking that that there is a correlation with what she's trying to do in the curriculum instruction. And at any point, it can be bounced back. It can be sent if one approver gets to the principal signing off, because it might be someone in their department, so the side-based man, they're the ones that, yes, I'm gonna move it forward, but each of us take it so that it stays in the loop. And those are the kind of things, I couldn't tell you if it was effective or not, because it's not my department. I could just say whether it's coded correctly and whether the funds are there.
I think the other confusion, I'm sorry, I have to add on, is that, if I recall correctly, even tutors were identified as consultants,
Yes,
and I think that's a huge
That was a
chaos
big
of
one.
what a consultant is. And I don't know if you already have it in place or not, definitions, please, that would really go a long way on.
As long as they weren't paid as consultants, we're okay.
But that, going back to Mr. Gonzalez's point, that's precisely what we've been doing, and that's why we've needed to train principals for those clarifications.
Yes. That's something that is IRS, and that's something that we have streamlined, because we have the identification of what a true independent consultant is and when it's an employee. Could be a part-time season. We need to properly classify them, because there is huge fines that go with it. And it was a massive, the way you all saw massive budget changes, there was massive contracts for even people that work with us, and it's like you can't enter into a contract with someone that already works with it. So we've been streamlining that, and the contracts have diminished
Yeah.
to it being minimal.
I'd like to also mention that, you know, we found out that we had students that didn't have their degree, but were as consultants, that were being paid teacher salaries like $36 an hour. You remember that? So all of that, you know, we just want you to be mindful, you know.
And that's what we're doing. There are certain things that, it's not ours, that's law. It's just not ours, it's law. I mean, that's why we're trying to keep it. On the last priority, number 5, that was we were gonna organize efforts to form an alliance with those vested in the interests of San Mateo CISD, and we would continuously communicate to our community as well as the local and state representatives. Our goal was to increase awareness within the community regarding public education funding and issues. One of the things that we have, I think you have it on our website, we have put a icon, and I gave you pictures where it says what's happening in the state. And if you click on it, there's several links that links us to TEA, to the state commissioners, to the State Board of Education updates. This is the legislature year, so there's a lot of things that are posted every day. When we change our website that we're currently, it will give us more capability. Right now, we're limited in the information that we would like streamlines to be streamed a little bit, but this is how much we got in there. In meeting the first year committee, we have been posting and items that y'all are aware of. We've been communicating with our public for financial transparency, either through the recorded and televised board meetings, such as tonight, Super Talks. We've done the board matters, the postings of the efficiency audit and curriculum audit, special reports that we've been presented. Everything that's presented is posted on the website. And of course, the strategic plan that I'm doing right now, those are various methods that we're communicating to the public so that we can be transparent as things that are coming up. One of the, so there's the icon, we're welcome to link in it, and we're continuously gonna be adding more as the space is limited, as we get more space. One of the items that I presented last time is that we were planning to hold an open meeting and invite public and bring in maybe a representative, local representatives to tell us what's going on in legislature. Well, as you all know, it kind of fit into with this presidential, they canceled.
Good luck with that.
But they did say they would come gladly. It was just that with the presidential, they were out in you know, I tried to reach some of them, and they were out of pocket because of all the presidential, but they did commit that they would gladly come in. That is Senator Lucio. It would be even Congressman Vela would come, and those to kind of give us the news firsthand to our public, just to ask them questions back and forth.
I think Region 1 holds a legislative update where it invites the districts there, but if you're looking for somewhat of a legislative update, or at least an interaction with our legislators, it may be where you need to have 2 or 3.
That would work a lot better, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Get them involved there, because they're there for that specific purpose, education.
And maybe
Not
working
the
from
other
that.
guys.
Yeah, working from that angle to where they can bring to, because I know that they've been doing it up at the north end of the valley, and they do have a legislative educational component update.
I will check with it, sir. But that's what we're kind of also bringing in, just not on the website, but bring the face-to-face so that they could have an ability to interact and show. And this is a year's going to have, we don't know what the state's going to do, and it's
Yeah, Ms. Render, I don't know exactly what you're looking for, but I sit on the legislative committee, so if there's something specifically you need, let me know.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much. And that concludes it. If anybody else has any questions?
No,
Thank you.
the only thing that I think it's
Thank
important,
you.
as you can see, I mean, I like hearing the conversation and the comments and the feedback, it's great. But even if you just listen to the comments and feedback, as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and so this isn't gonna get fixed, if you will, and overnight. And once again, these are year one priorities, but as you can see, we are making progress, we're making strides in these areas. And so I do commend staff for their hard work. And next month, we'll be hearing another update on the progress we're making in the area of facilities. The next report actually is I'm going to actually step down from the dais and go and report to y'all. And this is the compensation timeline update, because I know a number of people have questions about compensation. Okay, thank you, Madam President, Board of Trustees. I know one of the big areas of topic, and it seems to always be, and not just in San Benito, but in any school district, is compensation. Specifically has to do with salary or pay and things of that nature. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was just kind of, during my update, just make sure that everybody fully understands the process and where we are, and that we're obviously still moving forward in this area. And so I put together just a basic timeline of some little historical information, but then also where we are right now. So if you look at the timeline, let's go back to, there's been question as to, well, wasn't there a compensation study done a few years back? And so yes, on July 24th, 2014, TASB did provide the district with a compensation study. And so I guess the previous administration or previous board had asked them to do that as well. And so that was done in 2014. In August of 2015, that school year, the following year, SBCISD, like we always do annually, adopted the compensation plan for the 15-16 school year. During that time, and this was in November 16 of 2015, some adjustments were made to that. And I can't really speak to that because I wasn't here, but I know that I've seen board meetings and actually when that occurred, and I've seen some memos, but I just know that there were some salary adjustments made November 16th of 2015. In January of 2016, SBCISD hired a new superintendent, and so that's a mile marker. And so now everything we go from here, it's an update as to the work that we've been involved in. On June 6th, and this was about the time after we had done the efficiency audit and the curriculum audit, and so we were really wanting to get a good feel for where do we actually stand by way of things. I had asked the board for approval to see if we could do an updated compensation study. And so the board gave approval, which I'm very thankful for. And then on June 14th, I did contact TASB to just request, hey, we would like for us to get an updated compensation study done so we can go ahead and address this. On August 18, 2016, we had the back-to-school convocation, and it was at that point in time that I did indicate to all staff and employees that this was going to be a major priority that we would be focused on working through this year. And so we are now going through that process. On August 29, 2016, after we had already contacted TASB, they did provide us with a timeline, a pay study timeline, and overall of how long would it take in order to do an in-depth analysis. In September of 2016, a representative from TASB did come, and so I, myself, as well as Ms. Rendon, and then also Ms. Torres met with the representative to talk about the study and what we were requesting, a full-blown comprehensive study. Since that time, October through February, TASB has been working on the study, okay? Next week, and this is where it gets important because now that was more of the historical, but as we move forward, I really want people to understand where we are in this process. Next week, I will be meeting with the representative from TASB because they're going to give us a draft of the compensation study moving forward. In March, I would like to schedule a board workshop with y'all, with the board, with the representative from TASB to go over the compensation study information. Based on that information, I would then like to either March or April, depending on the timeline, bless you, salud, be able to come to y'all and say, okay, based on the options, right? This is how much an equity adjustment would cost. This is how much I believe that we would be able to afford by way of actual salary or raises, right? So whether that's a 2%, that's a 3%, whether that's whatever that is, I won't know what that is. But once I get the official numbers from the study, I will be able to share that with y'all and then be able to make a recommendation for y'all. And then in April, once we know what the recommendation would be or what y'all are willing to approve, then we can begin building next year's budget based on the approval of that amount. So therefore, when I come back, when we're done with that, and Ms. Rendon's done with the budget, we will be able to come to y'all with the overall budget, and if approved, then when we start next school year, 17-18, obviously that first month of September, starting the new school year, the compensation would be embedded, and raises and everything would be there if everything is approved. But I just wanted to make sure that I gave y'all an update, but not just y'all, anybody who's watching or listening, because I know that there's been questions, well, you know, is it going to be addressed? It is being addressed. It hasn't gone unheard or just, it hadn't been put on a shelf. This is the timeline of the process. It's just taken a while for us to get to this point. But as I said, I will be meeting with TASB next week, and we'll have the study that they conducted, and then shortly after that be able to provide you all that information.
Dr. Vega?
Yes.
I noticed, okay, I don't know if it was an item that was overlooked, but at what point will the equalization occur?
That will be, it won't be before, it'll be when we get the study is going to have all that information. So it's going to say, this is where the market value is for X position, right? And so once we identify that, we will know that these positions fall below that, or these positions are actually above the market. So if they're above the market value, then the individuals that are above the market value, they're already compensated higher than what the market value based on the study would be. The ones that fall below that, those are the ones that we want to make sure that we're able to bring up. So once we identify that, then that will be identified, and that will be part of the recommendation to be able to say, okay, based on this study, but once again, when TASB comes, we're all going to, I'm requesting a board workshop, right? So we can ask questions and go through this. Okay, because the big issue is going to be communicating, and communicating very clearly, and whether it's charts or graphs, or for everybody to fully understand the scope of this. So it would be a two-step process. So it would be the identification of those that need the equity adjustment, okay, but that would occur in September as well with the, because their new salary would be adjusted, and then the increase would be on top of that.
It will be in tandem then?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question.
For transparency purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that I've had this question posed to me several
Okay.
times from different people.
Uh-huh.
Is that we had a TASB compensation plan or study conducted 2014, 2015, and it came with recommendations. Now, people are questioning, why are we doing it again?
Right. So the study that was done in 2014, and this is trying to, once again, I wasn't here trying to piece together the history, was that, as you can see, it was done in 2014. A year later, nothing was done with it in 2014. Okay? So a year later, my understanding is that whatever was adopted, it wasn't, the whole plan wasn't adopted. Portions of the plan were adopted. And then if you go to November 16th, whatever happened by way of making those salary adjustments, okay, that threw everything out of kilter. So for that reason, it was no longer valid, or we don't have the same number of employees, or we have different positions. So for that reason, it was critical that, just like everything else with the efficiency audit, the curriculum audit, I wanted to know exactly what we knew, where we are at this particular moment. So that's the reason that we didn't just pull out the one from 2014 and say, hey guys, can we do this one?
Okay.
That's the reason why.
And I'll offer comment on both, on the question asked and why we were where we were. The 2014 TASB study that was submitted to us was right at the turn of a past election. We didn't have any input, we didn't have any involvement. The 2015-16 compensation study, we did have some involvement with, but we did have some concerns with it. And I know that it went back and forth between the board on some of the study's results, including the issue was that at the same time we were trying to do a reduction of force because we were overstaffed. So all those things triggered an issue where we didn't utilize it, and we had concerns with it, which brings me to the point of today. I'd like to see if we can make sure that whatever study's coming out, we have access to it early.
Sure.
Because I will tell you that I had some problems and some concerns with the way some of the TASB calculations were done on some of the comparables, and it was just simply the data didn't match the comparables, and I had problems with it. So if you're going to get a sample or a first draft, I would ask you that let's look at that first draft before the final product comes to us, because the last thing we want to do is have everybody work on it for a month and the final product comes to the board and we table it because we're not okay with it. Let's work ourselves through it so that way we're sure that when we wind up with a product, it's a product that we can implement. Because the last thing I'll do is spend the same amount of money we did in 15-16 and we implemented nothing. And what happened was that study went out to our work staff and they were very disappointed because the scales were way off. It was something we couldn't afford. Obviously, we're in a better financial position today than we've been in quite some time. So I foresee us to be in a tremendously better position to take care of our staff as we should have been able to have taken care of them over the years that we weren't able to.
Well, so to your point, and I just, you make some very valid points, but, and so here's what I'd like to reiterate. And I know that we've had this conversation as well, and I know, and I just want whoever's listening or watching, for everyone to fully understand, I know that it's y'all's desire as a board, y'all want to make sure that our staff is taken care of. Well, it's my desire too. But as you can see, and you just brought up some points, in order for us to do it right, we needed to make sure things were in order first. And so everything we've been doing this year, or starting back from the efficiency audit, the curriculum audit, the restructuring, if you will, the staff guidelines, by actually staffing according to guidelines. Now, even that, some people say, oh, well, we don't have aides anymore at kindergarten or this and that, or the same number that we had, right? But what that has allowed us to do is get our house in order, as well as the things that we've done with our fund balance, to even be at the point to where now we can look at this honestly and say, okay, if this is going to cost us $3 million, $5 million, $6 million, and I don't know, so I don't know, okay? No, but that's the point I'm making. The study will say, and then it's going to be up to here to say, yes, we can afford it or not. But I'm just wanting to show you that I'm doing my due diligence, that we're pursuing this.
No, and I understand, Dr. Vega. We appreciate what you're doing because, again, it's the same direction that the board wants to go. The issue being is, let's make sure that the product coming out of TASB is a product that we all feel comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Not from just from the manner in which it's done.
Yes.
And that we've got valid comparables and valid reasons to be able to say yes. The other issue is we also had, I think if I'm not wrong, the TASB gave us 1, 2, or potentially 3 options in its outcome. So we definitely would like to make sure that there are options there. We don't want a fixed figure that we then have to try to manipulate, because the last thing we want to do is manipulate anything. Right. We want a product that we can say, yes, this was done correctly, and second, it gave us options, and together with our finance department and your guidance, we're going to come up with something that is feasible and well-managed, and it doesn't put the district back in a situation it was, and we do not want to take it back to there.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, be patient, because this is gonna be effective the next school year, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Otra cosa, I don't, we keep going TASB. I think that you all can get together, ustedes dos, and figure out how much we have, where we'll be, and come out with 2 or 3 different options on your own. That's just me.
The
Because
only-
in the past,
Yeah,
it's that
the only
Because you
reason
go with
that.
TASB,
yeah.
TASB,
No, no,
TASB,
I
TASB.
agree, and at one point, I was frustrated with TASB because I wasn't happy with the product. The only reason is it does take it out of the district's hands and has a third party really
Yes.
analyzing it. Well, if it's done correctly, it should be, well, I do too, sir. And if it's done and reviewed and assured that it is a product that we feel comfortable with, it is a product that we can defend ourselves with, and we make sure that all of our teachers at whatever level, whether they're, a teacher coming in for the first year or a teacher who's been here 25 years, that they're all evaluated appropriately in a comparable to other teachers at those levels. And when you have a scale that's not, that's what gets us in trouble, and that's where you have your appeals and your demands and everything else, and
And this is going
and I'm
on
really-
right now.
I'm really, well, I think we're all exhausted with that happening, and we want something that's tangible and correct, and we can move forward and leave this behind us.
The problem was with market. We had a problem with market. They marketed for the state or something
Yeah,
like that?
they marketed it way
Yeah.
upstate,
Upstate,
and
and-
obviously that's not the
Which is why I have
same.
a problem with TASB. I mean, they can give us options, and I'm with you, Arnold, don't get me wrong. They can give us the
Yeah.
options, but we don't have to follow their options. ¿Entiendes? Just by looking at that, we all can form our own options. That's my point.
We need to market in the
Well,
region.
Just because TASB says, doesn't mean TASB's right.
Precisely. And if anything, and you're correct, sir, maybe it gives us a starting point.
One of the things I would say when it comes to market, though, that I think we need to fully understand is that absolutely, if we're looking at, and I've seen the billboards too, I mean, you can drive around here and, starting salary and what is it, Cy-Fair or whatever outside of Houston, I mean, they can start at 50 whatever, right? But at the same time, we also need to look at what is the market for at least our surrounding, because we do need to be competitive with our own. And I do believe that.
But even so, our surrounding también is based a lot on tax-based también. And it's hard for us to compete against the Harlingtons, against the Downas, against the Westlacos. And heaven forbid, the Brownsvilles and the bars and all of that. It's good to look around, but the thing is, we still need to keep our limitations so far as the tax base. Because all those people, yeah.
But we still have to be realistic.
No, he's
We
here.
still have to be realistic that we do try to encourage the bringing in of new talent and being competitive with other districts. And the only way that we can do that is through competitive wages. That's the only way we can do that. So, and it really comes down to bringing in talent, bringing in some more empowerment to the community, having more purchasing power by those individuals that are coming in from other communities. If we continue to reduce the cost, unfortunately, we're gonna be stuck with people that are just gonna come in
And I understand those
and
points. Ángel,
take
but
the,
it's- I understand that, but still, it's gonna boil down to the tax base.
right.
I
But
mean,
still, we still don't
just
want,
look-
we don't want
What
people,
about 4 times,
we don't
smaller than
want our
Harlingen?
district
We're
to
not gonna
just,
compete with them.
we still don't want our teachers to settle.
Oh,
We
I'm not saying
don't
that.
want them to settle. We want them to have very competitive wage that we can actually, they could be happy to come to work for San Benito as well. That's my
See, I under-
concern.
It's going back and forth. We had a healthy fund balance of those 13 years, we always gave raises. None of us are those teachers, for all the employees. Pero now, right now, I mean, I'm saying, yeah, let's do it, but the thing is, you gotta make sure that we can afford it and
Yes, sir.
and how much we can afford them.
Yes, sir.
And there's no way you can sugarcoat anything, any way you want it, but the thing is, it's still gonna be based on what we can afford, not in competing with other districts that are better off than we are because of the tax base.
I'll be meeting with them next week. So, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we will go ahead and quickly hear from Ms. Rendon, the financial statements for this month.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're back again. Okay, here are the financials for the month ending in January 31st of 2017. We start off with the cash account report. Our cash balance is $6,105,409.95. That is at our Frost Bank. Our investments have a $41,947,802.74. Combined cash balance is $48,053,212.69. Go into our student activity accounts. Our combined between student activity and our campus funds has an ending balance of $452,689.58. And we followed with the different schools as the owners of these funds.
Mr. Rendon, just
Yes, sir.
one suggestion on these activity funds. Can you give us maybe a 2-month or 3-month rundown? Because I mean, I see numbers, but if you don't recall what last month's number was, I won't be able to tell you if it went up or down.
Sure.
So if you can at least carry last month's number or the previous one, at least
Sure
that way
thing.
we have something to compare to.
I've seen them, and I think they've been between this amount and 500,000 since summer last year, so they're healthy. But I will, sir. I'll give you a comparison. We're going back into the comparison of the revenue and the budget. Starting off with a comparison of the revenue to the approved budget for the month ending January 31st, 2017. Revenue realized to date is $56,487,993.59, which is 50% of the anticipated revenue that we expect for this year. Under special revenue funds, realized revenue is $3,548,760.85. That's 23.82% of the anticipated revenue. Under interest and sinking fund, you'll see this amount. We have made our payments for our bonds are due in February, very early February. We have made the transfer of $3,098,267 from the general operating into our interest and sinking in order to meet the payment that is due. Our grand total realized revenue through January 31st is $61,718,223.97, or 46.83%. Following with the expenditures and encumbrances to the approved budget under our general operating fund, current expenditures year-to-date is $38,241,644.02. That is 35.39%. Right below the expenditure year-to-date, you do see the $3,098,000 that has been transferred out. In special revenue funds, we have spent $4,911,987.46, or 31.94% of our budget. And under our debt service, we have spent nothing. That you will see this next month. For the total of expenditures year-to-date is $43,153,631.48. Following into our tax collection report for the month ending January 31st, 2017, the total taxes collected to date are $9,329,705.88. Our tax levy is $12,302,721.68. We have collected 75.83% of our tax.
Ms. Rendon,
Yes, sir.
hold on for a minute. Can you go back to page 2, 1 of 2, on the combined funds report? I see 0% on some of the items that, as far as percent realized. Is there something going on there? Are we not spending the money?
Page 2 of 2?
Yes, ma'am. 1 of 2.
1 or 2?
On the general operating funds, on the first item, you've got 1, 2, 3. one,
The
two, three.
161,
The
162,
7,000, and then you've got band, and you've got another 7,000, and they're all 0%. What's going
Yeah,
on there?
on those are sub-accounts. That just means that the money's being, anything with a one, it's all local. So those are just transfers in, sir. Like for the 161, let me see, the 161-7, the 1,073,000, that's money at the end because we keep the athletics in its own account, which is 161. We haven't physically transferred the money that we're gonna fund them for the program from 199 over. It's an internal. It's internal. We do it at the end.
Okay,
We're just saying we're gonna transfer 1 million out of the 199 into the athletics.
okay.
But we'll do it at the end. In the 200s, if we haven't, such as a title, we have not done a drawdown for the Title III, 263. This is on a reimbursement basis, so they haven't done some of the drawdowns. There could be some expenditures, but we're on a reimbursement basis, so we don't get the money until we go in there and we ask for it.
I'm sorry, so help me understand this. If the number is higher, is that good, or is that bad?
Which hires, sir?
For example, you've got 57.32%. It's on the same page on the 200s. Then you have 14%.
Oh, that means that the first one is, that we on the 211-6, we're gonna get 1,622,562 from the grant, right? On this grant, we only drew down 930,000, so there was 692,000 left over.
57.32%.
And the only reason it's 50% is because these grants are 13-month, so that represents only 1 month. The grant for the amount of Title I funds is more like 5.7 million, but the only reason that there's 1 million is from the prior year. It's only for 1 month.
Okay,
So that money, that 692,000, what they do is they do a carryover. They'll release it back into the 7. They roll it over into the next one.
okay, nothing to be concerned about then.
No, sir, no.
Thank you.
And then the second page is the same thing. It's the budget, and then we talk about how much we spent. So we have the tax collections, and then we have the check disbursements, if there's anything, one that you all might have a question on. Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Agenda item number 8 is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, no public comment. Item number 9, consent agenda. In order to promote efficient meetings, the board may act upon more than one item by a single vote through the use of consent agenda. Consent items placed on the agenda should be marked with an asterisk. Consent items are items for which no board discussion is anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. Prior to the time which approval of consent agenda is had, at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees, any item on the consent agenda shall be removed and given individual consideration. Agenda item number 10, it's the action agenda under Business and Finance. 17028-1, approval of budget amendments for the CTE carryover funds for 2015-2016. Question? Consent. Item 17028-2, request for approval of proposals received for the E-rate 2.0 Year 4 2017 eligible services for San Benito CISD, A, telecommunication services and broadband circuits, Form A. Questions? Okay. B, eligible broadband internal connections component, Form A. C, eligible internet access, Form D. D, total wire and cable maintenance of existing eligible components, including material needed, Form E1. E, maintenance of existing eligible servers, and Cisco equipment Form E3. Questions?
Question.
Yeah.
17028-3, request approval to purchase computers for Dell Inc. for San Benito High School. Question? Consent. 17028-4, request approval of May 6, 2017 order of election for the purpose of electing to the Board of Trustees of the San Benito CISD members to fill place 4, place 5, place 6, and place 7. Question? Consent. 17028-5, request approval on the notice of election polling sites for the May 6, 2017 school board elections. Question? Consent. 17028-6, request approval of joint election agreement between the San Benito CISD and the City of San Benito. Question? Consent. 17028-7, request approval to purchase ambulance simulator for San Benito High School Emergency Medical Service Program. Question? Consent. 17028-8, request approval to purchase 2 greenhouses for agricultural science program. Question? Consent. Under administration, 1728-9, request approval to accept PITSCO education expedition curriculum for instructional purpose. Question? Consent. 17028-10, request approval of revisions to DE local policy.
Question.
Okay. 17028-11, request for approval of board minutes. Question? Consent. Okay. Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve consent items under business, finance, and administration?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Medrano, second by Mr. Mendez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Now we return to agenda item 17208-2.
Yeah, I had a question from the Finance Committee meeting. I believe we had Mr. Tenasia who had tabled one of the items because there wasn't clarification on who was first or second, and they were gonna get back to us on the ratings and whatnot. Were there discrepancies there, or can you? Yes.
I think the conversation, they wanted to see how the grading was, or the points. I think they was included in the,
It's right here.
in your, the detail, before you just had the points. I think we included in there now the actual tabulation of the different criteria that was used and the points that were assigned.
So did that change from our conversation on that day? Stayed the same?
What's being recommended did not change, sir.
Okay, so that was my only
But
question.
if you had any questions, no.
Okay.
It was, they wanted to see where the where points
Right.
were assigned, and I think that
Okay.
was included in your packet.
Okay, thank you. I motion for item 1702A-2 to be approved.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Vargas, second by Mr. Medrano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Another item that was in question was 17028-10, request approval of revision to DE local policy.
Yeah, I had a question because we left kind of in a non, I guess, clarified manner from the committee meeting. What exactly did we put in the local policy? Because I know when we left the committee meeting, you guys did not. Exactly. yeah.
Right, so, good question. So I think the question was about if you look on page 6 of 7, specifically on number 4, the section where it says if retiring or resigning, the employee must provide advance written notice of intent to separate. And the question that we had wasn't on the advance written notice, but specifically the contract employees must provide a written notice of at least 90 days. And so during that conversation, we were looking and weighing out the pros and cons. And so what we ended up doing is we looked at what other districts were doing, and we kind of weighed out, and we didn't feel that there would be any real harm, whether people tell us ahead of time or not. And so for that reason, if you look, we just struck out completely the 90 days. So where it says, basically, they must provide us advance written notice.
Okay, good, good. All right, do I have a motion? Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vargas, second by Mr. Mendez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. Agenda item number 11 is closed meeting. Discussion under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any subjects or matters authorized by law. 551074 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. A, employment, resignation, and retirements. B, consideration and discussion of employment of Director of Bilingual Education. C, consideration and discussion of employment of Higher Ed Coordinator. And D, Level 3 grievance, Laura Garza. We convene into closed meeting at exactly 8:29 p.m. We reconvene to open meeting at exactly 10:50 p.m. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Vega.
Thank you, Madam President. In terms of item A, I recommend, as discussed, an executive session, employment, resignations, and retirements.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a motion? Okay, motion by Mr. Mendez, second by?
Second.
By Mr. Padilla. All those in favor? All those against? Motion passes.
For item B, I recommend Dr. Gloria Quesada for the employment of Director of Bilingual Education.
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
And second by?
Second.
By Mr. Padilla. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, all those against? Motion passes.
In terms of item C, I make no recommendation for the employment of Higher Ed Coordinator at this time.
For item D, do I have a motion for Level 3 grievance on Laura Garza? Okay, no action taken. Let's see. Agenda item number 12 is adjournment, and this meeting will adjourn at exactly 10:51 p.m.